Hi, it's Dr. Willie Kachmann today. This show is going to be a little bit different. You know, it's usually about diabetes, but today's show will be about minimizing future taxation, because I want you to save some money, because you need some money if you're going to be healthy, which you're watching my shows, you're going to be healthy. So I have a guest with me who knows a lot about this, Willie Smith, who runs Thrivent Financial. And he can save you some money. And if you eat the way I teach you, you'll live to be 100 and play pickleball with me. Incidentally, Willie is also a pickleball player. And let's face it, he covers the middle. He's a big guy. He has a lot of reach. So Willie, tell us a little bit, how can people minimize their future taxation and have a little more money in the bank?
Well,
and you're a bat.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Dr. Kachmann. Number one, I'd like to say that your pickleball, your wisdom on that pickleball court has outlasted me quite a few times now. Well, in terms of taxation, I tell people all the time that we pay more money in taxes both while we're living and in our retirements than we have to. And that's simply because people don't know what they don't know. And so one of the things that myself and my team that we focus on is tax efficiency planning. And so what we like to do is optimize future taxation and just minimize that as we move forward. And so we use what's called a tax efficiency checklist, and that checklist has 3 separate categories on it: tax now, tax later, and tax never. And those three categories are crucial in terms of what they mean for your future taxation and the control that you have over the money that you've earned. And so that's something that I'd like to discuss a little bit more today as we move forward on the show. And so that's.
I think that's very interesting what you're speaking about, and I'll admit myself. Since I'm not working as a neurosurgeon anymore, as a wellness teacher, I still pay taxes because I have income from stocks and things, but I don't know as much as I should know. Should a person come to see you in person or online, or look at materials that you send out to become knowledgeable? Because I get a feeling after seeing you, they're going to have a little more money.
Yeah. Well, and that's the goal, right? Keep more of your money in your pocket. Yes. And so, we meet with people in multiple ways. We do meet in our office. My office is right in the DuPont Medical Park, right by DuPont Hospital. And so we also meet with people online via Zoom. And so that's been a very convenient way for folks to meet all over the country with us. And so and even people who may be more homebound or don't like getting out as much, or don't want to come all the way up to the office, we will meet with people via Zoom. One of the things that I've shared today with you is my QR code that can be scanned right on the screen, and that has all of my contact information, my office number, my text number, my office address, email address, all those things.
That means if I want to play pickleball with you, I can look at the QR code.
You can absolutely scan that QR code, and you can shoot me a text, and we can set something up.
But the financial planning, though, I think is extremely important. And the younger we are, and learn more about it, we're going to save some money. Improves your life, and if you're healthy, you're going to need a little more because you're going to live longer.
Absolutely. So let's talk about these categories, Dr. Kachmann. The tax now category, there are no special tax qualifications in that tax now category. That's things like checking, savings, stock dividends, things like that. Every dollar in that category is being taxed today.
At a different rates.
It's going to be
Yeah.
taxed at a different rate today, right? It's your but the reality is, in terms of gains, there's not a lot of gain in comparison to other categories in that tax now category. But you know, you receive a 1099
Yeah.
for your taxes at the end of the year, and you'll pay taxes on those dollars that are in that category.
Yeah.
The tax later category is where you see the majority of people having most of their wealth. And that category, we call it tax later. It's a tax deferred asset. So things like your 401ks, 403bs, traditional IRAs, things of that nature are every dollar in those accounts are going to be taxable when you move them out. And so as you take income or dollars or withdrawals from those categories, 100% of the money that you take from that category is taxable. And so that's where the person, you own the money, but you don't have control of the money, so to speak, because who controls how much is taxed? Well, the IRS controls how much is taxed, right? Yeah. And so that's that tax later category, and there's a couple other things in there where you'll have annuities and things like that that are used with tax deferred dollars. That third category is the tax never category, and that's our favorite category, right? Tax never does not mean that the money has never been taxed in the past. We're not speaking tax evasion here. We're not trying to send anyone to prison, right? Yeah. I want to see everyone out flourishing and living good lives. But what tax never means is once you get the money over into that category, you get to experience the growth of the dollars in that category completely tax-free. And so you have assets like Roth IRAs, you have Roth 401ks, you have municipal bonds, and things like cash value life insurance. Those are all assets that can be used to grow funds and grow wealth, where 100% of the money that you withdraw from those categories are completely tax-free. So you control 100% of the money you withdraw from that category, whereas really the IRS controls 100% of every dollar that you pull out of that tax later category, because they get to determine how much you're going to be taxed.
Yeah, I see. It's a great story. I don't have the knowledge, I know, and considering all the things I'm very knowledgeable about, 2,000 books in my basement, but I don't really have the knowledge how to move the money to a category which eventually may pay a tax, but I might be able to withdraw a lot of money in this time eventually and not lose money through taxation. You're going to teach people how to do it all legally, and to have a little more money available for them in their lifetime. But you got to get the knowledge and have a visit with you or online thing or phone call, whatever. You got to improve the knowledge, and that you can do. I myself would find that a person would have at least one personal visit to help motivate a person and see what a nice guy that you are, and another visit in a year or two or something, and then I think you'll have full knowledge and have a much better life in the future. And the government has passed laws which really favor the person quite a bit.
Yes.
You know, that to delay the taxation and the Roth type things, but most of us don't even know about it.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate you reaching out. And your location is in the Lutheran Medical Park?
It's right off of DuPont Road. So DuPont Medical Park, where DuPont Hospital is, we have an office right out there.
The sign on the front. And what does the sign say? Financial?
Thrivent Financial.
Yeah, I saw it recently.
Yeah, yeah.
I went over there for my physical. And I saw that sign. I didn't realize you were in there.
That's my office right in there. And so I think the trap that people don't realize they're going into when it comes to tax deferred dollars is, yes, it appears as only being a benefit to you while you're deferring the taxation and you're making income. And you can defer those dollars so that you don't have to pay taxes right away. But what the IRS knows is later on, they're gonna require you to start paying some of those paying taxes on that money, and they'll do that via required minimum distributions, or RMDs, if you've heard of those. And so there comes a point in time in every person's life, if they live long enough, that when you have money sitting in that category, the IRS then decides how much they're going to make you take out annually.
Yeah.
And that's where they really get to control how much money they're going to take in taxation.
Yeah, it gives you a chance to plan ahead a little bit. My renting, do I own a house? I'm going to pay taxes on the house. As your years go by, and I'm 39 for the 40th time, it'll be 88 in April. A long time since I worked regularly, for example. And I'm, living of my ability to figure out how to move things around. I do option trading. I don't recommend it for anybody, but it's a skill I learned years ago, which has great value to me. But I don't recommend it to anybody else. But because I still lead a pretty good lifestyle, it costs some money, and I still want to be able to give some away to help people, because I'm sort of related to the universe and the people and the animals included.
Yes.
Yes. And nature in general, but that takes planning. You can't just go along every day and expect that Medicaid and Social Security will sustain you, because they don't increase in growth at the rate of inflation and unpredictable things. Unpredictable things can happen. A war can get started, and your payment is not enough to keep you going.
Absolutely.
And and you help people plan their future.
That's exactly right. Well, what we call when people are dependent on Social Security, what is that? That's the government's plan, right?
Yeah.
And what you don't want to be on is the government's plan. You want to have your own plan. Now, can the government contribute to that with Social Security? Absolutely. I like to share just a really short story of a client that I've worked with, and she had $1.4 million sitting in that tax later category. Yeah. And the reality was, she's retired. Her income was enough. Her and her husband had saved well, and that $1.4 million was sitting there, and that was going to go to her daughter, and when she passed away. Well, her daughter lives out in Georgia. And her daughter and her son-in-law do really well for themselves. They're in a really high tax bracket in the state of Georgia. Federal tax bracket, but they live in the state of Georgia. Well, we did some analysis, because we have analysis tools and that we can use, that we use for free with people. And we found that out of that $1.4 million, now it's still growing, but if that client were to die today, out of that $1.4 million, because of the way the government's going to push it out, her daughter and son-in-law would have to pay $757,000 of that would go to taxes between federal and state taxes. That's over half of the money that she and her husband saved up to pass down is going to go to Uncle Sam, their inherited son, right?
I mean, that's really complex to understand. You need an expert to explain that to you. And that's not easy. Most people have if you would have talked to 100 people, I doubt that one would have that knowledge.
No. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Well, and one of the things, legislation passes all the time, new legislation.
Yeah.
And one of the latest or more recent legislations that passed was the Secure Act too, right?
Yeah.
People have heard of the Secure Act. You know, everything you hear about it is good, and they tell you all the good attributes about it. But what Congress doesn't tell you, because they're not going to tell you the cons, right?
Yeah.
What they don't tell you is that before Secure Act 2 was put into legislation, there was what we called stretch IRAs or inherited IRAs, where you could stretch those out, where the beneficiaries of those IRAs could stretch them out over their lifetimes.
Yeah.
Well, now with the Secure Act 2, all the good things that the government did with that, or Congress did with that, the legislation also took away the stretch IRA. And so when a person dies with that money in that tax deferred category, their beneficiaries now, or their kids now, have 10 years to get all of the money out of the category.
Out of account.
10 years, that's it.
So the law changed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And let's face it, the law is going to change again. Why is that? In the last, however years, 7, 8 years, our national debt has increased to over 30 trillion. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. And we're reaching the point in this country of bankruptcy. Mm-hmm. And unless they able to maybe just call it steal the money back from the
Who's going to pay it?
Who's going to pay it? They're going to change the laws. So you need a very clever person to help teach you how to avoid the problems that could be coming. I would think the tax rates could change.
They can. And
they may say now this is what the rate's going to be 10 years from now, but they might say, hey, 5 years from now, it's going to be a lot higher.
So one of the legislations that was also put in place was the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. Most marginal tax brackets are 3 to 4% lower right now than they're going to be at the start of 2026. And so we've got to sell on taxes right now, right? I mean, for people who were previously in the 15% tax bracket, they're in the 12% tax bracket. This year, tax year 2024 and tax year 2025 are the last 2 years that this legislation is in place. It is set to go back to the previous tax brackets now. That's not to say Congress won't act. And with the national debt that you just spoke about, we don't know what future taxation may look like. All we know is that it's at a low right now. And this is the time to start moving money over that tax wall at a discounted rate. And so I think that's the urgency of what we're looking at right now.
And that would be a huge advantage to come and see you. Mm-hmm. And interesting, which can include myself.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and if I teach you pickleball, you got to maybe teach me finance.
That's the way it works.
And and tell us again the ways that you can be contacted, so that the people know.
Sure. Yeah. So I can be emailed at Willie WILLIE.Smith SMITH @thrivent.com. And so that's my email address. My office phone number is 260-460-7278. I also have that QR code that'll show on the screen there. If you scan that with your phone camera, all of my information shows up. I've got a texting phone number there as well. And so I can be reached all sorts of ways.
Well, thank you very much, Willie, for coming to the show today. I know you got some place to go, so feel free to go on. And if I get a few minutes left, I'll talk about my rural show for you to be healthy, so you can go see Willie and live much longer in good financial condition. And thank you so much for coming here. I hope I meet you again on the pickleball court, because I want you to be my doubles partner, because you get so much reach.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
Good
it's
to
a pleasure.
see you again.
A pleasure.
Thanks
for
coming
having
aboard.
me. Yeah, thank you for having me.
This is very interesting. I learned a lot. So if you follow my diabetes thing and get rid of it, which is not that hard to do, then you probably will need a little more money to live well.
Amen. Amen. That is right.
And thanks again. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Kachmann. Always a pleasure.
I'll see you at Ace of the Place, and we'll play some pickleball together.
Amen. Yes, we will. All right. Thank you. Thank you so
day.
much. You too, Dr. Kachmann. I appreciate you.
The few minutes I have left, I will speak about my diabetes, preventing it, stopping it, reversing it. You can look at my previous YouTube shows, which maybe 700. You can go YouTube, Amazon, Facebook, Rudy Kachmann. 700 shows will show up. And it will teach you how to prevent the disease, stop the disease, reverse the disease. I just don't think that industry is that interested in doing it for you. The local hospital system has diabetic centers, obesity centers, but do they really want you to get rid of the disease so they make less money? My experience has not been good. So it's not that hard. If you are seriously overweight, for example, even 30% of the people who are thin are diabetic. There's a book by Susan Ryan called Simply Keto. You follow that. She has her recipes in there, pictures of what to eat, 66 pages of the keto way of eating. You'll be rid of diabetes in about a month. Yes, a month. It's that quick. It's like the food pyramid. Is eating good fats, 20% protein, 15% vegetables and fruit. Vegetables are full of sugars, so they're not the total answer. Just eat vegetarian. Well, read a book called the Great Vegetable Con, C-O-N, by Joyce Gutstone. Once you read that, you realize that eating the vegetarian way, has advantages, but you need to eat some meat products because vegetables don't have in them certain minerals, vitamin B12, not enough B6, so it's a kind of a combination. But if you read her book, that's all a person really needs. I think all the information is in there. I wrote one to it there on Amazon. You can buy these books, my books or Susan Ryan's books. I think $5 used. I did that once for a church. I was speaking to 20 people, and I decided 20 of them, they want to get rid of their diabetes. I bought a book, $5 each. I bought it, spent very little money, and now those people have lost 10, 15 pounds, and diabetes is gone. Diabetes causes about 30 or more chronic diseases. Most of dementia is due to diabetes. Most kidney disease is due to diabetes and the secondary effects. You don't want those diseases. There are certain cultures where they're eating bad food all the time, and in the area where they live, hardly anybody lives past age 70, except more men than women. They're not eating the wrong food. They're not exercising enough. And by watching my shows or reading some of the books that I recommend, you'll not have this disease. You can also go online, look at my old YouTube shows, and again, my food pyramids. You got to learn that there are good fats and there are bad fats. Good fats would be like guacamole, for example, full of omega-3 fats. Also, look at my previous TV show I just did on kidney stones. A lot of people get kidney stones, and you can gain the knowledge how to avoid them. I just had one, and I looked on the internet, read some of the books, and you know what the biggest thing is for good health? Drink more water. Number one thing you can do to improve your health, drink 3 of these 20-ounce bottles of water, plain water, not soda pop, Pepsi or Coca-Cola, plain old water. Prevents most kidney stones, but also is very good for the diabetic because many of them have kidney disease. Your proper test to find out whether you have diabetes or not. It's not just your HbA1c, your blood sugar. Get a serum insulin test done 10, 15 years before that time. Even get it on your kids. Serum insulins are elevated 10 to 15 years before the blood sugar is ever elevated. So you could avoid diabetes and the associated diseases by changing your diet, or maybe you need to lose 2 or 3 pounds. Even your teenagers, many teenagers today are not healthy. Their blood tests are not healthy. If you ran, the pediatricians should be ordering serum insulins on kids, age 3 or 4. And if it's elevated, change the type of food they're eating, they won't get diabetes. They won't die young. That's not being done today. Our hospital system, our medical system is too influenced by industry. The congressmen are being bribed with money. It's true. Just look it up. Look at the breakfast recommended for your school children today. Look at it. Cinnamon buns for breakfast. That causes diabetes. That causes being overweight. All that could be avoided. So look at my YouTube shows. Read some of the books I recommend. The next show we have, again, will be half on diabetes, but the previous shows have all the information there that you need. Why am I doing this? Because I want you to live to be 100, disease-free. I'll be 88 in April. All my blood tests are normal, okay? And I plan to live to be 100 and play pickleball with you. My previous guest I met originally at Aces the Place, which opened up 21 courts for pickleball. I highly recommend you go have a look. And I'm not financially invested in any of the things, but these things help make you healthy. But the way you eat is the most important of all. Thanks for watching this. We love you for looking at this. And I'll see you probably in 2 weeks. We'll do some more shows. You can go to Rudy Kachmann, YouTube, Amazon, Facebook, and see previous shows. The whole nation of India is looking at my YouTube shows because there's so much diabetes. The largest number in the world. We're number 3. We have a much higher percentage because your government, your hospitals, us medical doctors are not teaching you how to prevent it. But I am, and I'm pushing you about it. I'm doing it because I love you. I care about you. See you next time. Bye-bye.